My name is Hannah Spicer, and this will be my ANS 221 Advanced Halter Training TQA Client Education video. TQA is Training Quality Assurance, and it's a 501c3 nonprofit organization focused on working with experts in the equine and ranching industry to set industry quality standards and certifications in training and selling horses to the public, as well as working on ranches where horsemanship, stockmanship, and roping skills are required. On the TQA Groundwork score sheet, there are 8 task completion and foundational maneuvers that will be scored, and on the right side, there are 6 temperament or driving factors that will be scored. Both sides of the groundwork score sheet will be scored from -3 to +3, -3 being dangerous for the client and +3 being ready to fill in for an inexperienced horse owner. 0 would be average. The temperament is determined by their driving factors. The 3 primary are self-preservation, comfort, and companionship. The 2 underlying are confidence and energy, and the variable is hormones. The first time you go into the pen with these colts, usually they are in their self-preservation and full of energy. So we just let them naturally move around us, which decreases their energy and increases their confidence with us in the pen. As soon as they stop seeking comfort and companionship away from you and start to look towards you, you can back up out of their flight zone and then stop and let them just sit and look at you and lick their lips and get dopamine. After a while, their flight zone will get smaller and smaller, and eventually you can walk up to them and pet them and maybe pet the lead rope over the neck and get to haltering them. The best way to halter them is from the side of their face, not from underneath. And if they push away like that, you can kind of just hold the pressure, and then when they soften, you soften. It would have been better communication had I quit trying to halter him when he softened his nose toward me, and he would get relief and learn, but I gave him a score of 0 for good to catch. The next task completion is stage 1, which is stopping the inside front foot and walking the other feet forward and around it. To ask for stage 1, you can take the slack out of the rein and raise the flag and wait for their outside hind to step out and then stop. The horse should do it with willing submission, which is after initial cue, the horse performs the task on a loose rein with no leg pressure. And willing submission is one of the 5 things to eliminate resistance when doing a job with a horse. Stage 1 in a crisis is intentionally raising the energy of the flag to put the horse in their self-preservation while keeping your hand like a post so that they disengage their hindquarters and then get dopamine by stopping and looking at you. The next task completion is horizontal direction, standing and walking. On the Foundation for Perfection sheet, direction is when the slack is taken out of the rein, the horse puts the slack back into the rein with suppleness through the poll and loin. When you're doing your horizontal direction, the front feet and hind feet should be traveling on the same path as the nose. The horse should make a perfect C around you. The outside hind should step out and the inside hind should step up under the navel. And your horse should be able to walk or ride in a perfect circle. I scored him a 0 because it took him a little bit to figure out that he was supposed to go forward around me, but once he did, it looked pretty good. It can be hard to communicate horizontal direction to a horse at first, especially if you've done a lot of stage 1, because they get a lot of dopamine looking at you and they don't like you on their side as much. So the best way to keep them going forward around you is bringing the flag from their shoulder to their eye and stepping slightly behind their balance point, which is the point that influences their direction. You also want to keep your hand pretty solid like a post. That way they're learning to give to the pressure. Then I think that also helps with horizontal direction standing because you take the slack out and they start to put it back in with suppleness through the poll and loin. To teach a horse horizontal direction standing from the ground, just take a little slack out of the rein and then wait for them to put the slack back in. This is really important because it's going to teach them to double or untrack when you get ready to saddle them and get partway on and then eventually all the way on. Your hand is going to simulate your leg. Our next task completion is going to be stage 2, which is defined as hindquarters pulling the horse in a reverse motion. I scored him a +1 because after I asked for stage 1, I brought my hand back towards his withers, and on a loose rein, he completed several steps of stage 2. Our next foundation maneuver is stage 3, lateral movement of front and hind feet together. It's important that the colts remain sensitive to the flag because if they are not a little bit scared of it, it's a lot harder to teach them how to move. To ask for stage 3, take the slack out of the rein and wait for the outside hind to step out for stage 1, and then immediately go into stage 3 by blocking their eye with your hand and bringing up the flag until they move laterally away from you. I scored him a +1 because after I asked him for stage 3, he completed several steps on a loose rein. The last foundation maneuver is stage 4, stop the inside hind foot and walk the other feet forward around it. A great way to ask for stage 4 is out of horizontal direction. Get stage 1, switch hands, hold the flag on the side of their eye and hold your lead rope at a 45-degree angle, taking the slack out just a little bit, and then wait for the 1-2 step of their front feet. You can tell I didn't really have to shake the flag very much. I just kind of held it there, and then he just was uncomfortable, so he moved away from it. I scored him a +1 for stage 4. For lead with willing submission and respect, I gave him a +1. Every time I took the slightest bit of slack out of the rein, he put it back in, and he followed me on a loose rein, but he also respected my space when I stopped. For pickup feet, I did give him a -1 because this was actually the first time I had picked up his feet. He was pretty sensitive and had a decent amount of energy, so by the time I got him ready to stand, it was Thursday, and we started working them on Monday. So if I were to go back and do it again, I would get his driving factors in order sooner so that he was ready to stand and let me pet him all over, and then I would be able to get his feet messed with a lot sooner. So right here I was just asking for a weight shift, nothing more. This is what the score sheet looks like. It tracks the temperament and foundation and task completion of the colt. You can tell we started off with lots of negatives and then ended up mostly positives. For an overall temperament score, I gave him a +2. He started out with high self-preservation, which makes it really easy to teach him how to move. His confidence was low, but it quickly gained. He was pretty willing. He didn't have a whole lot of reaction to social separation. He had a really nice amount of energy, and he was super sensitive.